Hear me?
We'll get there in a minute. Shannon, you on?
Yes, sir, I'm right here. Can you hear me?
No voice.
Can you hear us, Morgan? Morgan, can you hear us?
Can't hear you.
Oh, she's muted.
Can you hear me?
Blue.
Lou.
You're on, Shannon.
All right, yes, sir, we're ready.
Okay, well, you turned down low, we couldn't hear you.
Gotcha.
So, we're gonna go ahead and get started. Miss, Clark, are you on recording?
I have it recording. That's good.
All right, thank you. We're gonna go ahead and get started this Monday, April 5th, 2021, 10 o'clock special meeting. We're gonna go ahead and call it to order. We do have a quorum and acknowledge any guests here today. I appreciate that. Deliberate and consider action on the following items. Discuss and appropriate approve and accept resolution authorizing the amendment of the Newton County method of distribution of the 2016 flood CDBG disaster recovery allowance received through the Texas General Land Office. Mr. Mark Taylor.
Good morning, Judge and Commissioners. Once again, this is in conjunction with the 2016 contract that the county has. As you know, the first part of that, as far as the infrastructure, those projects are currently complete. On the housing contract, we are projecting to have funds left over. The county created a method of distribution initially, at which point in time you said 70% of your funds were going to go to housing projects. As y'all know, we've gone out, we've beaten the bushes, we've had general applicants meetings, we have opened the application cycle up, we've had 4 different application cycles. And we feel we've done everything we can to get the qualified applicants that are interested in the 2016 program assistance. There are several applicants at this point in time, we still have completion upon their application. But at this point in time, we have, several months ago, we did conduct our public hearing, in which case we went out to the public and said, with the method of distribution, we want to modify this and we want to move some of these housing funds to infrastructure. We're trying to move forward with that at this point in time. We have been trying to coordinate with the GLO on this. And at this point in time, we're proposing moving $8 million from housing to infrastructure. Now, once again, and I know y'all are probably getting tired of hearing me say it, but we have several homeowners that are on the bubble, and it's going to be dependent upon those homeowners and their eligibility, ultimately how much funds we're going to have that we can move over. But we're asking to move $8 million, which we've been coordinating with the GLO on, and then any additional funds that are remaining in the housing program once that is completed. One of the big things on there, and y'all may have heard us or Liz referred to the Stafford Act. We're not for sure how that affects some of these homeowners. That's a question we have posed to the GLO. We've kind of, on one side of the fence, the other side of the fence. Hopefully we will have an answer from them this week on the Stafford Act and how it affects these buyout homeowners. That's going to determine to a large degree how much money we can move, possibly beyond the $8 million. We're comfortable requesting to move the $8 million at this point in time. Now, the initial budgets that we did, the budgets Pat worked up, were a little over $8 million total. And so the GLO is requesting that we cut back to the $8 million at this point in time, and then move any additional funds through this method of distribution. So the resolution that's before you today is to authorize the amendment of the method of distribution, which the county had set out several years ago in conjunction with this disaster. One of the things on there is the funds that went to the Deweyville Independent School District. With the GLO's guidance, they had those classified as housing funds. They're wanting to declassify that as housing funds and list that as non-housing funds. So that is one thing that is listed on this resolution. Still the same dollars, it's just reclassifying it from housing funds to non-housing funds. And then it's requesting to move an additional $8 million from housing to non-housing.
So would that be classified as, infrastructure, then,
Yes, sir, it would be infrastructure, but basically the way Joel looks at it, either it's housing or it's non-housing. But yeah, it would be what we customarily look at as.
And that wouldn't affect, the 8 million?
No, sir, that does not affect $8 million. That's basically just relabeling that money that the county authorized to go to Deweyville School District.
It doesn't affect us in any way, really?
No, it's just kind of a paperwork cleanup trail that GLO says it should have been classified as non-housing to begin with. And once again, that was at their guidance, from what I understand, is they had guided it to be housing. Now they're saying, no, let's have it non-housing, because that is not actually a housing activity.
so, you said the Stafford Act might enter into the picture. So would you identify what Stafford Act in terms, what does that mean? So the commissioners will kind of understand what you're talking about.
Yes, sir.
When you say
Be
Stafford.
glad to. And I'm going to give you all a condensed version of it. The Stafford Act itself, I believe, is 132 pages. I'm going to narrow it down to about 50 pages for y'all this morning, because I know you need to get over it. Basically, what the Stafford Act says is, if a homeowner receives federal assistance for their home, and it's in the floodplain, then beyond that point, they are required to maintain flood insurance, or they're no longer eligible for any additional funds. What we're not certain of is whether that applies to the buyout program. We were told that it does. The Stafford Act itself does not reference the buyout program. It references rehab reconstruct. And so we have requested for clarification on, does the Stafford Act apply to the buyout program? Does it not apply to the buyout program? If it does apply, are there any exceptions to the Stafford Act? And folks, once y'all get into these projects, once again, you're dealing with individuals, you're dealing with individual situations. Every one of them is different. In 2016, some people received assistance from FEMA. In conjunction with that, they received 3 years flood insurance. Other people right down the road might have received FEMA assistance, but they did not get the flood insurance. They were all in the floodplain. Why some did, some didn't, we can't say, FEMA can't say, but some people did receive 3 years assistance. We have one in particular, after the 2016 flood, never moved back into the house. They were wanting the buyout program. They have been wanting the buyout program ever since we rolled this program out. They did not extend their flood insurance because the house was still in the same shape it was in the 2016 flood. So we have requested clarification from GLO on that particular instance of, first of all, does the Stafford Act apply to the buyout program? Secondly, if it does, are there exemptions? And if there are, can this particular homeowner qualify for an exemption? We have not received an answer on that. As of Thursday, the answer was, well, we're still trying to figure out if the Stafford Act applies, first of all. So we're looking at this. If the Stafford Act does apply, and they say it's black and white, it's cut and dry, if you received assistance and you have not maintained flood insurance, then you're no longer eligible for federal assistance, period. That does away with 11 of our applicants right there. They're off the table. And guys, I know y'all are probably sick of hearing it, but that's why we're straddling the fence, not being able to give you a solid number. We, first of all, we don't know how it's going to apply to each of these homeowners. And then once again, the Stafford Act, we don't want to move forward on that without GLO's guidance and without their concurrence one way or the other.
How long has that question been out there to GLO?
Hadn't we already purchased lands in the floodway with that money?
Yeah,
not.
No, not through this program.
Not through this one, we have through Wabi though, right?
No.
Yes,
Huh?
yes.
But that's not as a different person.
I know, different program, but it's still the same money. GLO money. No?
No, it was not GLO money.
Then what money was it?
I missed that now.
FEMA money?
Mark, I missed that. How long's it been out there?
Several months.
You don't have any idea when you're gonna get an answer on it then?
As of Thursday, they said they thought they would have us an answer this week.
Oh, really? Good.
Now, the flip side of it, we are trying to move forward with this mod as quickly as possible and get things rolling as quickly as possible on them amending, first of all, approving your mod request. Secondly, moving this $8 million so we can start getting on down the road with it. And guys, we've been kind of on the bubble here, and we gotta get this thing moving and.
All of this infrastructure money, is that load of mods money?
Yes, sir. Yeah, and once again, we've identified these projects, we've gone out, the surveys have been completed, we know these are low mod projects.
Okay.
As far as the projects qualifying, that's not an issue at this point in time. It's just, and once again, this mod, we had these public hearings back last June for these mods. And we've been coordinating with the GLO this whole time, trying to advance this ball a little bit farther down the road. At this point in time, they are saying, and it's our hope, we can get this mod request to the GLO this week. If so, they are hoping they can make all this happen within the next 2 months. Once again, the $8 million at this point in time, that is a safe harbor. It could potentially be quite a bit more, I say quite a bit more money. It could definitely be more money than that we can move. But the homeowners and the applications that we're currently working on, based on the eligibility, if the Stafford Act, does not apply, they're all eligible, then that leaves enough money in that fund to assist the homeowners that are there.
Very good.
Anybody else got any more questions? All right, thank you, Mark.
Thank y'all.
I hear a motion.
I make a motion that we, approve and accept resolution authorizing the amendment between county methods of distribution of 2016 flood CDBG disaster recovery allocation received through the Texas General Land Office. Second.
A motion is made by Mr. White and seconded by Mr. Formby. We approve the authorization of the amendment. Is there any discussion? Not, all in favor? 5-0. Number 2, discuss and appropriate, approve authorization to advertise bids on, TDM project DR 4332-0121, Toledo Bend Lake, Fire Department, generator, and DR 4332-0186, Burtwell, volunteer fire department generator. Mr. Oates?
Thank you, Judge. Just kind of bring everybody up to date. At last month's status meeting, we had spoken with Chris Perry with Texas Division of Emergency Management. He was actually here that day. And he gave us the authorization to go ahead and bid those projects out for the generator at Burkeville Volunteer Fire Department and Toledo Bend Volunteer Fire Department. And so, what I was here for today is to get y'all's authorization to advertise for bids as requested by TDM. Just from a standpoint of timing, right now I'm thinking we'll have the bid opening on May the 6th at 11 a.m. here at the courthouse. And Chris refresh everybody's memory, because it's been very long in making. It's to put automatic transfer switches and a generator in each of those volunteer fire departments, with some electrical modifications. Both of those generators are proposed to be propane fuel. Part of the project is also to get a propane tank installed out there with the generator.
I'll make that motion.
I second it.
Motion been made by Mr. Bomby and second by Mr. Thompson that we approve the advertise for bids on the, TDM projects for the fire departments at Toledo Bend and Burkeville. Is there any discussion? Not all in favor? 5-0.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, number 3 is discuss and appropriate approve to rescind the 3% reduction in pay for all employees, appointees, elected officials for Newton County, with the exception of Newton County Sheriff Department, that passed on item number 2 on March the 22nd, 2021, the special session. And this is because I probably stepped over the line or out of turn in asking for this, and it wasn't brought to my attention until later that all elected officials and appointees and court reporters could not be reduction in pay because it had been advertised through the budget amendment or budget through the advertisement in paper. So I'm asking the court to rescind that 3% reduction in pay to all employees, appointees, and elected officials.
So moved.
That's all elected officials, and employees?
Yes.
I second the motion.
Motion's been made by Mr. Formby and second by Mr. White that we rescind the 3% reduction in pay to all employees, appointees, and elected officials for Newton County. Any more discussion? Not all in favor? You vote?
Yes.
5-0. Number 4, is discuss and appropriate approve and execute the contract between U.S. Capital Advisor and Newton County to seek funding for refurbishing the building previously known as a Big Y'all Correctional Center that we, got back in Newton County's hands, back to a couple weeks ago. So, what, I'm asking is to approve the, contract between us, and I had Miss Courtney look over it, and you find everything be okay, so.
I'll make that motion.
Is, this money we're going out for, it's dedicated to refurbishing, only refurbishing the prison? And we're talking about several $1 million. Is the county better served with new facilities, something you can see some growth, are they gonna, the public gonna look at that as another threat to their security? As reopening that old prison, or, I don't know, I'm just.
We're actually just asking for, ways to find out the funding. And then as we get further into it, there'll be some planning going on.
Yeah, but it's gonna be dedicated, the funding will be dedicated to refurbishing that prison. There won't be any thought of any new facility. Don't misunderstand me, I know we need it, we really need it. Newton County does. But do we need it refurbishing that old facility? I mean, we tried to refurbish this, we've worked on the hospital and stuff, and we still got 2 old buildings that need a lot of maintenance. And is the public would the public buy into a new facility a lot quicker than they will to spending their money on that prison? I walked through it, and I don't know, you can refurbish it, but it's gonna take them many a dollar to do it.
Well, first place, I don't know I know essentially what the plans are, just generally, until we get down to actually the plans to what, we're gonna actually use it for. You have to be the value for this new facility, what we're gonna get out of it, versus the refurbishing and amount that we're gonna get out of it.
I know investors that see some growth if you had a new facility, something that the community, and I think the people would buy into it quicker. That's just my opinion. You're gonna raise their taxes to pay it. If they can see something that they can be proud of, that'll service our needs, and I don't know, I'm just.
Have we got our credit straight yet, or is this part of it?
No, this is our first action of business, is to actually try to get the financing. And then we'll go out for the rating. At the same time, we will be evaluating the refurbishing, the amount. So there's several things in play here, we have to get accomplished before we actually, go for obligations or bonds, either one, whichever one y'all decide.
I'd be great, I would, only thing is, the money's tied to the facility. That was my concern about being the first step. I mean, if it was seeing what our credit line is and what we could borrow against and whatever, I'd be.
I can clarify for you. So what's on the agenda is to contract with this particular company to just get the ball rolling. If we do decide to go out for bonds, that doesn't obligate us to do it. We don't have to do that. At some point, when the person comes back with a plan for how that could be refurbished, then the court will still have to vote again on whether you're gonna actually do it, and whether you're gonna actually issue certificates or issue bonds, however you're gonna do it. So this isn't a commitment to get the money to refurbish that. It's just to get the ball rolling with the company that could get the money for us, if that's what the court decides later. So
Yeah.
it's just the first step, there's a lot of other steps. So just by approving the contract, you're not committed to redoing that building today. Once there's a plan, then you may say, okay, yeah, it's gonna cost too much, we should just build a new facility. So there's.
Well, I understand that, Corey.
Redo that facility.
Yeah, I understand that. But the way it's written, that if it is approved and we decide to go for that financing, it has to go to that facility. It can't go for a new facility.
Well, and if you decide, hey, we don't wanna redo that facility, we want a new one, then we can just come back and say, hey, we want this company to do this instead.
Okay.
So it's not a big commitment to redo the old Gillial Correctional Center.
That's just what the current name of it is. I mean, that's all that is. We're gonna change it anyway.
Was that the attorney that was here before?
I don't think he's an attorney, but yes.
But there was a guy that was here before, and I believe I heard him say that we didn't owe him anything unless he actually, we went through with.
So it's fully executed.
So, it's just a primary step
That you were asking about, and
get
we're
things
not doing
done.
that study.
Right, that's 20,000.
We wouldn't do that until we decide that we are gonna actually redo the building. Then we would get the credit company to do their grading and go from there.
Have we got the engineer, you said already lined up last meeting? We will be having workshops, won't we, to further discuss what you're talking about?
We'll start, next week. I don't know what day yet, but, we will be having a workshop, just trying to identify our footprint out there about what we want, so where they can come back with some kind of estimated cost.
Did we decide this to go out for vote? Or?
We haven't decided that yet. That will be a decision that has to be made by the court, whether we, issue certificates of obligation or, go through a bond election. The one thing that was determined the other day, longer we put it off, higher interest rate may be. That, we don't know. But the earliest you could call election is November. So, certificate of obligation could be, in place by, what do you say, 1st of July?
Yeah. Yes.
So, but, this is just the first step. I think this is something that's gotta be done. We don't have that much money, so we're just trying to secure someplace that we could get the money if we decide to move forward.
Right, the other way, they got 14 days to get a petition against it.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to have a public hearing at that time. Okay, Mr. Farmer, you made the, motion, but I heard no second.
I second.
Motion been made by Mr. Farmer and second by Mr. White that we execute the contract between U.S. Capital Advisor and Newton County to seek the funding. Any discussion? Not all in favor? 5-0. Hear a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Motion was made by Mr. White and second by Mr. Farmer. We're adjourned. 25 minutes after 10. Thank you all.